My name is Paul. I'm 49 years old. I'm coming from Holland. I worked for 20 years for the Dutch Premier League club ADO Den Haag. And since 4 years ADO Den Haag is a Chinese owner, United Ventures from Beijing. So since 4 years I'm involved with some Chinese projects. I've been in Hohhot, I've been in Orduz, I've been in Guangxi province, in Baihai and Nanning to make some projects. And because of ADO Den Haag as a Chinese owner, I also met Li Ning. And when he got the CEO of Beijing Guang, we got involved and we discussed a lot of things about the possibilities for the new academy and how we can build up the academy, how we can change some things. And in August they invited me to come to Beijing to do some presentations. And in December I met Mr. Zhang, and since the end of March I'm in Beijing to work as Director of Administration for Beijing Guang. Okay, the first question, the difference between, for example, a Dutch youth academy and a Chinese youth academy is at this moment very huge at Beijing Guang. Dutch academies have total from under 8 till under 21 teams. Holland is very structured, so every boy can play at every level they like. And for the scouting it's very simple, because in every village there are amazing complexes with a lot of football teams where you can scout the best players. The Holland system is also not connected to the schools, so you can get players from all of Holland to go to your academy. For especially Ajax, the former club of Patrick, scouts for all of Holland, and my former club ADO is scouting more about the 25 kilometers around The Hague. Also Holland is very structured, so there is a good league. There are levels for all players. There are selection teams organized by the Dutch Football Association. So everything is very structured and you can find the best players and everybody can play and train on their own level. Also the facilities around are very good organized. When I came to China, one of the first things I saw was the first match of the Chinese Super League. And it was a very good start for the development of Chinese youth football. When I arrived at Beijing Guang, the club was in a building up situation. In August they started with under 15 and under 16, and they have already under 17 and under 19 in the reserve team. So the academy was growing, a lot of new people came, but there were a lot of job descriptions, there were no procedures. Normally when you come to a new club you get a whole book with the procedures and how to work at the club. But when I came, there was nothing, and when there was something, it was in Chinese, so very difficult to read for me. At the club, everybody was working very hard, but every team had their own company, every team organized everything by themselves, and there was no cooperation or communication between each other. So the first thing is that we need to get everybody involved with each other, that they know what everybody's doing. So we made weekly schedules, yearly schedules, so everybody knows what the schedule is when everybody's training, so they got involved with each other. We also organized with the media department that from every youth match there will be a small report with pictures, so that the whole club got more involved with the youth academy. After that, it was very important that everybody should know what they have to do, because the club was growing and a lot of new people came, and not everybody has a lot of experience with a professional football club. So we wrote from all positions, we wrote job descriptions, we discussed this with them, and when everybody was agreeing, our management team, we give all our people who work for the academy the job description, and they can give their opinion about it, and if they're not happy, we have changed some things. Yeah, when everybody was a little bit involved with each other and know what to do, it was time for the next step, and then we make some procedures about all things, what happened at the club, from the simple things like ordering clothing, till the procedures for matches, the procedures at the base, the procedures for the rooms. All of these things we put in a book, and we will present in I think in one and a half months at the big presentation. So in my first few months it was important to give clearness about everybody what to do. Also explain what the role is of our department, because we organize the facilities so that the players can develop well, because the most important thing in our academy are the players, not the people who work there, the players. And everybody should help the players and should should do their job so the player can develop well at school and also, of course, important at the football pitch. I think at the moment we have 4 team managers, we have everything as a head coach, assistant coach. We need some more team managers, we're working on it. We're working on some doctors. We got good people for the corporation clubs, we got good assistants for the foreign people. So at this moment I think we got 20-25 people working at Beijing Guan. I think at each team you have a coach, you have a head coach, we have a doctor, we have a team manager, and some teams share the goalkeeper coach. In the future we want to develop that. We have also more performance coaches. In the future there will be a new performance coach, and we like to have more video analysis because we think video analysis is very important in the development of the player, because then you can show him what he's doing well and what he has to improve by himself. It is difficult. We're working here just for 4 months, so we changed a lot of things on paper, and it's difficult to put things during the season in reality. So we're making plans for the new youth complex. We're making plans for the new training schedule for 2019, and for the things we change is that we have a weekly schedule, that we have a yearly schedule, that we plan everything a few months earlier, because in the past a lot of people planned everything 2 or 3 weeks before, and in our vision you have to plan much more months before, so you have clearness about these things. So that are the things we changed in the organization. Of course we give everybody job descriptions, so that's the thing we changed. Everybody know how to work and when they work. We make procedures, so the people know, for example, when you have to give a player a contract, what steps to make, how we organize home matches, how we organize away matches, how our room procedures are at the base, how our procedures are for who can stay at the base, who has a room, who has not a room. All these things, we make players profiles, so if we judge the players, how we need to judge them. So we make a lot of changes, but it's difficult to announce all these things directly, so these things go step by step. But on paper we have all little things prepared to make our academy much better. I want to say some other things we've changed, because we are working on it to change the facilities that the technical part can have the best players. So we work on a better school system, because till now our players under 15 and 16 go to school, and we want to get our players get to school of their intelligence. So not they stop at 16, they have their intelligence, they have to do a better study. So it's difficult to make these steps, but in the future we want to work to our own school, that we can the players can study at the Beijing Guan football school in the future, not only football but also at school. And the other thing is we need to find the talentful players, because Beijing is so big, there are living 24 to 25 million people, so there should be somewhere football talent. And our club don't have a scouting system yet, so we help Mr. Y to make a scouting plan to put the Beijing in districts, and we worked very hard on it. We found some good candidates, and we are building up our scouting system, because you can have a good academy, but when you don't have good players, you have a worse academy. So we need to make some steps to find better players and develop players from 8 till 12 till they grow up in our academy. And that takes time. And you can't get kids bigger or older in 1 year, but they need 10 years. But developing youth players is a long time process, so I think it takes 5 to 10 years until we have one of the best academies in China. We will go through it. Holland is much smaller because Holland is more organized, and we have a culture with volunteers. So a lot of people want to be involved with the club and do the work for free. So we have, for example, volunteers who drive in the vans to pick up the players at home. The team managers and the team attendants are volunteers. The medical staff is mostly students. So at my former club, ADO, we have maybe 5 or 6 people who work full-time at the club. The coaches, all coaches were part-time because they also have a job, because we train in the afternoon. And the other functions were filled in by and of course Holland is very small. So our farthest away game in Holland was 3 hours by bus, and the coach was complaining, we need to go 3 hours by bus. And I think our close by the match, it's more than 3 hours by bus. So that's a big difference. When you have an away game in Holland, it costs you maximum 1 day. And now our teams are sometimes 2 or 3 days away when they have a far away game. So that's also different in the system, and that's why we need more people who work for the club, because you can't ask a volunteer to go 3 times away a week away with the team. The under 15 of ADO is playing in it's called the Eredivisie for under 15 teams. It's nationwide. They have 14 teams, so they play 26 league matches. Then they have a cup tournament, and the teams play every 2 weeks. They play a friendly match, so the subs can also play. So you count, I think they will only have around 50 matches a year. It depends. We start now with the Chinese Super League. So our teams play around, I think, it depends, the under 19 play 34 matches, but from the under 13 till the under 17 they play maybe 20-25 matches. And then it stopped now, so that will be reorganized again, and we have to wait in what league we play, if we play in the league, and how many matches we play, and otherwise we will organize a lot of friendly matches and tournaments to make the program interesting and learning for our players. But that's the reason we need a yearly schedule, so we can plan all these things before and not 1 week before we know the situation.
中国这个青少年队比赛是不是有些少？
The start of the Chinese Super League is very good, because then the players have more structure and play a match every week. Only the level difference is too big. There are very good teams and very poor teams. And to be honest, our team is not at the top, but we can play against the top teams. So they should make several leagues with several levels of teams. So if you're a lower level, you have to play in the 3rd league, and when you're a top level, you have to play in the 1st league for academy teams. And I think these steps that the Chinese CFA has to make in the future, that they improve the level of the youth league. But you have to start somewhere, and I think it's very positive that they start the youth league, and now they have to make it better. They have to learn a lot of things, because to be honest, most of the adults think for the player. They tell them everything to do. They tell how to work at the pitch, when to eat, and in Holland it's different. The players learn by themselves and they are more creative. So I think we should help them. And when we said, okay, let's give the players some free, they are afraid at the club, because then the players will eat a lot of things that are not good for them. So I explained to them, we should learn them. The players should learn about to take care of their own body, and to take care of their own body is that they know what they have to eat, and they know when they have to sleep, they know when they have to take a shower and rest. And all these things we don't tell them, but they have to learn by themselves, by experience. So they don't have to have to change it when they're 20 or 21 and be a professional football player. So you have to learn it when they're kids, and it's also part of the development to a professional football player. Yes, I think we have to give them the tools how to live as a professional football player, even as a kid. And I think they can learn it very quick, because the learning discipline of Chinese players is much better than the Dutch players. It is difficult, because the elite football plan is that we want to have the best players train together. But first we need to find the best players, so that's a plan for the future. First we need to develop our players to our average academy, and when we have an average academy, we can select the best players and give them a special treatment to how to develop as a professional football players. And it's not only training extra on the pitch, it's individual training with specialized coaches, which will also talk with dietaries what to eat, and give them the whole complete plan. But at this moment we only need to work to build up our academy to an average level and improve the level of the total players group. And later on we can work with all the special talents to make everybody better with every plan. Now we're still building up. We need to take time. The most important thing that we get in the future in our own complex, that everybody's training and playing at the same complex, everybody's being more involved with each other, and they're going to work together. The players are going to see we're going to change the players easier from one team to another, and then their development will be better. When also the whole administration is sitting together at the same academy place, we can organize things quicker for them, and we have better communication. So we have made the first steps, but we have a lot of steps to make.